Considering a retirement community but unsure about what they have to offer? Well, if so, stick around because in this video, I'm going to be walking you through the various types of retirement communities and what you can expect from each one. Hi there, my name is Chichi Aguoji. I'm a New York-based realtor with a focus on helping seniors and retirees sell their homes and find the best locations to retire. Now, if you're planning for retirement or if you're helping a loved one to plan for retirement, you might have come across the term retirement community. And if you're wondering what exactly is a retirement community, then you've come to the right place because I'm going to walk you through the various types of retirement communities in this video. Now, overall, there are actually only two main types of retirement communities. You have your unplanned retirement community and you have your planned retirement community. So let's first discuss what it means to be an unplanned retirement community and how that community is known to become an unplanned retirement community. An unplanned retirement community is also known as a naturally occurring retirement community. Now, all this means is that this is a community that consists predominantly of seniors and older adults, but was not intentionally planned for it to be that way. So these are communities that were not designed with the needs of older adults in mind. These types of retirement communities really tend to come about as a result of a majority of seniors or older adults in an area that decide to do something called aging in place. And aging in place is a term given to seniors who prefer to remain in their home throughout the duration of their retirement, given access to local community resources, given access to families, giving access to healthcare, as opposed to leaving their home in retirement and retiring elsewhere. So in other words, these are adults that either buy a home and just effectively never leave. When about 30% of older adults or 30% of seniors in any community decide to never leave, decide to age in place, then that community is able to earn the designation as being a naturally occurring retirement community, otherwise known as a NORC, or it's called an unplanned retirement community. So if you're familiar with Brooklyn, just various neighborhoods in Brooklyn, the neighborhood of Bay Ridge is known as a naturally occurring retirement community because a majority of the residents in that community are in fact seniors. And if you're familiar with the various townships in the state of New Jersey, the township of Manchester as well as Towns River are both also considered to be naturally occurring retirement communities because upwards of about 40% of the local residents in those areas are actually seniors. Now, aside from the seniors that live in these neighborhoods, another group that tends to love these unplanned retirement communities, that tends to love these NORCs, are the local governments or governing bodies. And this is because when you have a group of seniors that are together, that are living together in such close proximity, it makes it that much easier and that much efficient for these local governments to be able to provide social services to this demographic. So just imagine services like medical checkups, exercise classes, anything, Meals on Wheels, anything that would really be specific to helping individuals within this demographic. It just makes it that much more efficient for a government to plan a central hub in that neighborhood to have seniors come to that central hub to receive these social services and these benefits, as opposed to having seniors travel far from their home locations. Now, another main benefit of NORCs and residents in NORCs is lower healthcare costs and lower housing costs. And when I say low, I'm really comparing these costs to the costs of receiving the same level of care, the same level of support in a long-term care facility, right? So it's always going to be much cheaper for you to remain in your home and have someone come to you and provide these services directly to you, as opposed to leaving your home and going to live in a long-term care facility and receiving those services there. Now, if for whatever reason aging in place is not for you or it's not for your loved one because the responsibilities associated with owning a home is just too much. Mowing the lawn, keeping care of the roof, shoveling snow. If those things are just things you no longer want to do, then you might want to consider the other type of retirement community, which is known as a planned retirement community. Quick reminder before we continue, if you're enjoying this video so far, consider subscribing, consider liking, and let's keep going. The main difference between an unplanned retirement community and a planned retirement community is simply that a planned retirement community is planned. It's developed with the needs of older adults in mind. And while there's only one type of unplanned retirement community, which we've discussed is the NORC, there are actually several types of planned retirement communities. And this distinction is what tends to get people confused. When you're thinking about a planned retirement community and what type of community is best for you or your loved one, you have to think of them as being on a spectrum. And on the lower end of the spectrum is going to be the types of retirement communities that require the least amount of medical care. And on the higher end, or the top end of the spectrum, are going to be the types of retirement communities that require 24 hours, 7 days a week, round-the-clock medical care. So let me take this time to just walk you through the spectrum. So on the lower end of the spectrum, in terms of the types of planned retirement communities that require the least amount of medical assistance, first you're going to have the active adult community, otherwise known as the independent living community. As you can tell by its name, these communities are for adults who are active. They're able to do things independently, as the name suggests, and they don't require any, if at all, medical assistance whatsoever. These types of communities tend to be restricted to adults who are 55 and older. Typically you really will have to meet an age requirement in order for you to be able to live in one of these active adult communities. These communities tend to be equipped with a whole host of recreational activities and social clubs, hence the name active adult. Facilities tend to be equipped with golf courses, tennis courts, pickleball courts, swimming, even social outings or transportation for social outings, in order for you to really get the full experience of living in an active adult community. Some of these communities even have on-site restaurants that allow you to purchase meal plans. So it's almost as if you're in your own bubble, if you will. You don't even have to leave these sites at all unless you're going on a cultural outing. But just know that all of this does come at a cost. It's not cheap, since everything is available to you at your fingertips. Now, the next type of planned retirement community on the spectrum is the assisted living retirement community. So these communities are for residents who may not need 24-hour-a-day medical assistance, round-the-clock medical assistance, but they still require some level of assistance throughout the day. So the type of assistance that might be offered in an assisted living facility could range from helping residents with certain self-care habits, such as brushing their teeth, getting ready for the day, taking a bath, or even medication assistance. Residents of assisted living facilities tend to be physically mobile and physically agile, but they just need a little extra help when it comes to certain functions throughout the day. When it comes to the types of activities that are available to residents of assisted living facilities, they tend to be more on the moderate side. So you might see things like sewing or crafting, ice cream socials, reading groups, things of that sort, things that don't require that much physical exertion on the side of the resident. Given that assisted living facilities require some type of medical assistance, you can expect that the cost associated with an assisted living facility would be higher than the cost associated with living in an active adult community. So further up on the spectrum, after your assisted living facilities, you have what's known as your nursing homes. I think when most people think about retirement community, they tend to think of a nursing home. I think most people have heard of the phrase nursing home before. So what separates nursing homes from an assisted living facility is that the level of medical assistance required in a nursing home is actually provided 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Nursing homes will be staffed with on-site nurses or on-site medical practitioners that are able to provide medical assistance to residents anytime throughout the day, anytime they need it. Given this, we can definitely expect nursing homes to be more expensive than the previous two options that we discussed. Nursing home activities might include things like bingo, painting, gardening. They would be more so on the temperate side, but I think there's also opportunities for residents who are more mobile, are more agile to do things that might require a little bit more physical exertion. Okay, so next on the spectrum, we have what's known as continuing care retirement community or a Lifeplan community. And these are really more of an oddball type of retirement community because they're a combination of all three of the previously discussed retirement communities, right? So there are a combination of the active adult retirement community, the assisted living retirement community, as well as the nursing home style retirement community. How can that be? Well, let me explain. So it's all in its name, right? So since this is called a continuing care retirement community, all that means is that the level of care that's provided to the resident continues and progresses as the resident gets older. So these are the types of retirement communities that are able to meet you where you're at in terms of the level of medical care that is needed on your end. So the benefit of retiring to a community such as this is that once you move in, you really never have to move out, as opposed to an active adult retirement community whereby if you were to move to an active adult retirement community and then 20 years later, you're no longer an active adult, you're less mobile, you're less agile, you may need to leave that active adult retirement community and go into maybe an assisted living or a nursing home. With a continuing care retirement community, you move in and the level of care that you need progresses as you get older, and the level of activities that are available to you runs the gamut and also progress as you get older. The continuing care retirement community tend to be very, very expensive and also require a hefty down payment for you to even be considered, for you to even have a spot. And I'm talking hundreds of thousands of dollars when I say hefty down payment. So if you think that this is the type of retirement community for you, just be sure this is what you want, because you will be utilizing a large chunk of your assets in order for you to put a down payment on a spot such as this for a continuing care retirement community. The final type of retirement community under the planned types of retirement communities, the one that requires the most amount of medical assistance is what's called the memory care retirement community. Now, these are retirement communities that are really focused and situated for people with dementia or people with Alzheimer's disease, and so they require a special type of care, a special type of assistance. And given this, they tend to be at the high end of cost when it comes to planned retirement communities. So that pretty much sums up the different types of planned retirement communities, starting from the active adult community, moving into the assisted living community, then moving into the nursing home, and then the CCRC or the continuing care retirement community, and then finally the memory care retirement community. And that's pretty much the spectrum. And it, like I said, ranges from the level of care, the least amount of medical care that's needed, to the most amount of medical care that's needed. Now, if you or your loved one are actively looking for a retirement community, comment below, let me know what you're looking for. Perhaps I'll research it and make it the subject of my next video. All right, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed the video, if you learned something new, consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.